please turn to page 7 of the Kurukulla Center Prayer Book. We'll start with Refuge and Bodhicitta on page 7 and do the regular Sunday morning prayers straight through to page 37. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. In the Buddha's Dharma and Sangha, until enlightened I seek refuge, through merit from giving and the rest. To aid all may I become Buddha. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and its causes. May all sentient beings never be parted from sorrowless bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from bias, attachment, and hatred. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer of the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme among humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise, then I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great, the founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one gone to thusness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, in the sublime community intending virtue I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms atoms in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a mirage, the flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. From Tushita's hundreds of gods, protectors' heart, of this fresh, pure white heap, curved like cloud. O Losang Dragpa, Dharma's omniscient King, pray come to this place with your disciples. In space ahead, on lion throne, lotus and moon, venerable gurus smile brightly with delight. Pray stay hundreds of eons to spread doctrine as supreme merit field for my mind of faith. Your wisdom mind sees full range of knowables. Your eloquent speech adorns fortunate ears. Your beauteous body, fame, glory outstanding. Homage to you, worthwhile to think of, hear and see. Pleasant offerings of water, various flowers, fragrant incense, light perfume, and so on. Oceans of offerings set out and envisioned, offered up to you, supreme field of merit, none virtue committed with body, speech, and mind, which I have heaped up since beginningless time, especially what has contradicted three vows. Each I confess from my heart with strong regret. In time of strife you strove to learn and practice, shunned eight mundane concerns, made life essence-full. O protector from depths of our hearts, we rejoice in your powerful great deeds. Venerable gurus from love and wisdom, clouds densely massed in your Dharmakaya sky, pray loose a rain of vast profound Dharma on fields of disciples just as needed. May whatever virtue that I've here gathered bring benefit to all beings and doctrine, and may it make Venerable Losang essential teaching specially shine forever. Mig say waiter chen rezi dream kien pei wan po jam tel yang du pung malu jom ze sang wei dan gang chen ke pei tsu gen Tsongkhapa lo sang drag pe jab la so wadep. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus on my crown, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments of body, speech, and mind. Glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness. Bestow attainments common and supreme. O glorious and precious root guru, pray take seat of lotus at my heart, caring for me with your great kindness, until supreme awakening remains Homage to the exalted three jewels. Thus have I heard at one time. The Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha on Vulture Mountain, together with a great assembly of monks and a great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that very time, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, replied to the Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whichever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates also. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are empty without characteristics. That is, they are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visible form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object of touch, no mental phenomenon. There is no eye element and so forth up to no mind element, up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no cessation of ignorance and so forth up to no aging and death and no cessation of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation and no path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. And because their minds have no obstructions, they have no fear. Passing utterly beyond error, they attain the final state beyond sorrow. All the Buddhas who reside in the three times by relying on the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas, perfect and complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequaled mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it is not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed. Tayata, gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisoha. Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva, a great being, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom. Then the Blessed One arose from that concentration and said to the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, well said, O child of the lineage, so it is. The profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced exactly as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, the Venerable Shariputra, the superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the Great Being, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, Gandharvas, and others, were filled with admiration and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. In the holy supreme abode of the Dakinis, possessed of clairvoyance and miraculous power, unwaveringly caring for practitioners as your children, homage to the hosts of the three places Dakinis. Akasamara Sachadara Samariyafid. Tayata, Om, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisoha. Through the power of truth of the exalted three jewels speech, may all on the side of negativity, such as the four Maras, be stopped. May they become non-existent. May they be pacified. All enemies, obstructors, and hindrances, Shanti Kuruye Soha. The 80,000 types of obstructors pacified, freed from adverse harmful conditions. May all be conducive and perfect auspiciousness. Bring happiness and well-being here, right now. Saji perki jukshing meito tram ri Jetsun lama dampak yenan ki chukui kala kien se trindrigne jit sampe dulce zinma lazap yecherki charpawab tu so idam guru ratnamandalakam niryatayami Chodang soki chognam la jang chub bardu dagni kyap suchi dagi chunyen gi pe sonam ki drola penchir sangye drupashu Chodang soki chognam la jang chub bardu dagi suchi dagi chunyen gi pe sonam ki drola penchir sangye drupashu Chodang soki chognam la jang chub bardu dagni kyap suchi dagi chunyen gi pe sonam ki drola penchir sangye drupashu
Good morning, everyone. Today's summer come back. Fall finish. I think tomorrow getting cold, right? Yeah. Anyway, everybody set up perfect motivation to benefit all sentient beings. Therefore, I have to achieve happiness, happy life. Achieve enlightenment. Achieve enlightenment means happy life, pure line, not any problems, not suffering. Therefore, we say, wish to happy all sentient beings. Therefore, I want to also achieve happy life, happiness. Then going to listen the teachings. Then very important, whatever we usually do, motivation is more important. Also, the youth practice is also Mahayana practice or Hinayana practice is also motivation. Or motivations more important. Then even you go walk, you have morning before start walking, you have good motivation. You can do all good things that day. The morning you feel not happy to go walk, oh I hate walk, I have to do something. Then you all day you not happy. Therefore motivation is very important. Anything, every time, whatever we do, try to best motivation. Okay? Then we study Buddhism. Buddhism is not just talking about physical things. It is a mental. Our problem is mental problem, physical problem. Correct? Therefore, a physical problem is also, we can solve also material things. For example, cold, hot, you can use the AC, you can use the heat. When you get hungry, we have eat the food, like that. The mental problem is not solved on the physical things. Then we have to thinking mental, mind. Right? Even the doctors say, the person who is more, healthy mind, then those kind of people, even they're sick, they're easy to more cover. The people, the mind is not very healthy. Healthy means the mind is not stable. Then they also takes more time to recover. This is the scientist that the doctors say. And that person's mind is very strongful. The Buddhism teaches for how you control your mind. Keep your mind more healthy, more happy. Okay? This is like then, it's not easy to study, also not easy to understand, but try to best, and also little bit, day by day, therefore try to our best. Okay? Then we start today, our learn for the benefit of the taking refuge.
Number 189, and in the blue book, it's on page 375.
Okay, read until our number 5.
It's 198, sorry.
Okay. Read from that to our number 5. Okay, Bob, you got it? Okay, read from here to benefit 2 pages until our number 5. You keep the vowels like that. 5, is correct? You got it?
Yep.
Okay, maybe you can start.
Where to advice after one is taking refuge?
The next outline.
The next outline.
Up to next
Yeah.
outline.
Okay.
Yeah.
The benefits of taking refuge, outline 198. There are 8 of these. You become a Buddhist. You become a candidate for all vows. You will use up obscurations acquired from previously accumulated karma. You will easily accumulate a huge amount of merit. You will not be bothered by the harmful actions of humans or creatures. You will not fall to the lower realms. You will effortlessly achieve all your temporary and long-term aids. And you will soon be enlightened. When you take refuge, therefore, don't merely repeat the same words as other people, or take refuge only verbally. Take refuge from your heart. You become a Buddhist only when you develop the act of taking refuge properly in your mind stream. Reciting the refuge formula hundreds of thousands of times doesn't make you a Buddhist. People these days say you must recite the refuge formula a number of times. People who say you must develop it in your mind stream are rare. In Dagpo, once a monk named Attar was doing a retreat with friends in which they were to recite the refuge formula a prescribed number of times. Attar gave the proper thought to the meaning behind taking refuge, and so took a long time. The others were much quicker because they only repeated the words of the refuge formula. They had nearly completed 1 billion repetitions. Hearing that Atar would not complete the required number, they asked him how many he had done. And Atar said, "Have you only been toting up the number of the refuge formula? So if you recite the formula while keeping your attention on taking refuge, you will be significantly ripened by it. When you take any types of vows, you must precede this by taking refuge. If you do not, you will not receive the vow. Just as the ground supports houses, walls, trees, forests, and so on, the act of taking refuge serves as the basis for receiving all vows. You may have committed many karmic actions in the past and accumulated many obscurations. For example, the major heinous crimes such as when Ajatasattu killed his own father, Bimbisara, who had achieved the result of a never-returner, or the minor heinous crimes. But when you have taken refuge, you purify such karma and the resulting obscurations because you have taken refuge in the Buddha. Thereafter, saying the names of Buddhas or even reading the set of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutras once will purify many eon sins and obscurations. The Sutra basket speaks of these benefits again and again. The short Perfection of Wisdom Sutra says, if the merit from taking refuge had form, the three realms would be too small to hold it. In other words, the merit accrued from the act of taking refuge is immeasurable. Moreover, the Buddhas are such karmically potent beings that root virtues generated in relation to them will definitely become the cause of one's achieving full enlightenment, even if this is done without pure motives. From the White Lotus of Compassion Sutra, Ananda, it is like this. Suppose a farmer householder has a field that has no stones, tree stumps, or brambles. It has no pebbles or rubble and has rich topsoil. He plowed it well and prepared it with hand implements. He did right by planting his seed while it was still fresh and fertile. The sun and wind have not been harmful. The seed has not been cracked open, nor has it rotted. The seed was planted at the right time in the furrows of the field. Sometimes it was watered, sometimes left dry, and safeguarded against everything. Ananda, this householder at some other time goes to the field, stands on the edge of it, and says, O seeds, be seeds no longer. O seeds, do not sprout, do not grow. I do not want the fruit. I do not want the rewards. Ananda, what do you think? Would these seeds no longer be seeds because of those words? No, Bhagavan, he replied. No, Sugata. The Buddha said, would the fruit no longer become fruit? Would he reap no rewards? No, Bhagavan, replied Sugata. No, Sugata. Then the Buddha said, Ananda, when people who praise samsaric existence, who rejoice in samsaric existence, make offerings to the Buddhas, even though they may say, by these root virtues may we go to nirvana, it is quite impossible that they will never go to nirvana. Ananda, these root virtues generated in relation to the Buddhas will result in nirvana, although they do not want it. I tell you, these virtues will be transforming until their eventual nirvana. Therefore, whenever one develops root virtues by having a single thought about the Bhagavan Buddhas, the fruit of all such root virtues will be nirvana. I tell you, these root virtues will be transforming until one's eventual nirvana. One will not be bothered by the harmful actions of humans or creatures. Here are some stories to illustrate. A Tirthika once made a noose out of energy wind and tried to catch a Buddhist upasaka with it, but did not succeed. A man from India was sentenced under the law of a certain king and was to be abandoned in the charnel ground. All other people abandoned there had disappeared. They had been carried off by creatures, a species of ghost, and been eaten. Not one has come back alive. A man placed on the crown of his head a patch taken from the robes of a member of the Sangha. Then he took refuge. He was not bothered or harmed by the creatures. Once a nomad was left alone for a day in an uninhabited spot and was attacked by a yeti. He nearly died. His head was still scarred, and so a lama asked what had caused those scars. The man told his story. The lama gave him instruction on taking refuge. Later the man again encountered a yeti. He took refuge. The yeti merely sniffed the air, did not pick up the human scent, and went away. The householder, Anathapidada, recited some verses on taking refuge one night when he saw that a road he had taken him to the charnel ground. The creatures there could not harm him. Anathapidada then prostrated himself before a Tirthika idol and lost his protection, so the story goes. A thief once saw someone give a monk some cloth. The thief returned at night to steal it. The monk outwitted him, tied his hands together, then beat him 3 times with a stick while saying the names of the 3 jewels. The thief ran away, repeated what the monk had said while staying under the bridge frequented by demons. If I'm lucky there were only 3 of them, he muttered under his breath. If there had been any more, I would have been killed. That night the demons were unable to cross the bridge. We should not be afraid when we get into difficulties. We must take courage from the 3 jewels and be satisfied with taking the only kind of refuge. Taking refuge will also stop us from being reborn in the lower realms. A god was certain he was going to be reborn as a pig and so sought Indra's protection, but Indra could not save him. The god asked the Buddha, who gave him instruction on taking refuge. The god died while taking refuge according to these instructions. Later, Indra investigated where this god had been reborn. Now the gods can see mentally only into levels below their own, but cannot see higher. Indra could not find the god, so asked the Buddha. The Buddha announced that he had been born in the Tushita celestial realm. That god not only prevented his certain rebirth as a pig, but was also reborn in a very high celestial state, all through taking refuge. Yet we do not appreciate that taking refuge is so important. During public ceremonies, we sit distracted, fidgeting while we recite, until enlightenment I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. When it comes to the part, Om Svabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Svabhava Shuddha Ham, we pretend we're in deep meditation and roll our eyes. This is a sign that we don't know what the gateway to Buddhism is, and what a marvelous means it is for preventing rebirth in the lower realms. Atisha saw that taking refuge were alone important, so he taught them. He was called the Taking Refuge Lama, and the Cause and Effect Lama. Atisha heard about this and said, those names of mine will also help the teachings. When we are about to die, practicing the generation and completion stages may be beyond our capacities, but if we take refuge properly, it is certain that for once we will not fall to the lower realms. As Sangye Oen says, in short, if I have not developed death on impermanence in my mental stream, even the Guhya Samaja would not be profound. But 3 verses on taking refuge are profound when produced in my mind stream at death. There is also no better means of fulfilling one's wishes than taking refuge. Jamsen Rendagwa said, do not put your hopes in people, petition the divine. In other words, past saints achieved their temporary and long-term aims by petitioning the divine 3 jewels. Trengwa was embroiled in lawsuits. He won them by depending on the 3 jewels. You will soon be enlightened. Your taking refuge now will result in future in actions that correspond to it. In this life, whenever unfavorable circumstances arise, you will automatically take refuge right away. And because the mind characteristically follows whatever it's familiar with, you will recall Buddha when you die. The king of single-pointed concentration sutra says, all constructed images of the victors, and recall Shakyamuni, whose primal wisdom is immeasurable. If one grows accustomed to always remembering him, one's thoughts quite automatically will turn to him. With speech and mind, always sing praises to the Buddhas. Accustom your mind stream to thoughts like this, and you will see the world's protector day and night. If you are ill or unhappy, or meet with misery at your death, your recollection of the Buddha will not decline. Feelings of misery will never take this from you. Not only this, but we will also gain optimum human rebirths in all our lives. We will meet with the refuge. We will never be separated from people who take refuge. And when we train in the ultimate path, we will achieve the 3 jewels in our own mind stream. Thus we will soon be enlightened.
Good. Even we don't much practice understand the benefit of reading is very powerful. 그래서 나도 다 잡선들이 점도 방향성 거를 봤어. 대로와라 알레 점도도 가래 방도 하고 그거 봤어.
So this is talking about the benefits of taking refuge. So in order to know that, then also you have to know the 3 jewels. What are the 3 jewels, right?
근데 전도 미치 갈라도 사는 야보여레스. 라만 전도 다티 갈라도 가래임바. 뭐 가래임바. 내 가래서 임바. 잘라 가래와 차상 당수 딱 요러 봤어.
So, for example, if someone tells you that eating this food is good, then you will check, why it is good, right? What kind of food it is, what material, what ingredient, and how is it prepared, and so forth, right?
근데 다 내가 산책해줘, 친구줘, 전 걔네께서 자던로 와이 나타 빼면서 배 배에 좀 버려스. 마사비 디바 탄저와. 아니 셔사비 디바 도전저와. 아니 뭐봐 아니 다와도 되지 공부 도를 해서 뭐.
And so here it talks about taking refuge. That talks about the benefits of taking refuge. So one of the benefits is that whatever negative karmas that we have created in the past will be purified, and it will put stop to the negative karmas that we may create in the future. And by purifying all the negative karmas and gaining all the realizations, we will soon achieve full enlightenment.
아니 상상도 생각다가 그때는 잡선 점점 연결요. 하나 산책해 주게도 잡선 생각다가 무슨 영문도 와서 생각해 와서.
So sometimes we might feel that we are taking refuge, yet we don't see these benefits in ourselves.
Where they gone? 근데 이제 아니 칸에 특전 점을 튼도 맞던 많이 봐. 쌤 되네. 안 배잖아. 강 송샤가 대단히 소소쌤 되네. 제도에 나다는 연구를 들어.
So the taking refuge is not just reciting the refuge formula like it says in the text here, just reciting those words like taking refuge in the Buddha, taking refuge in Dharma, taking refuge in Sangha, like that. Not just reciting that, but also contemplating the meaning of that from one's heart.
근데 배나 뭔가도 미실라 나타 독자이 보여와나. 아니 멤버 저거는 저는 나한테 제자 작을 나와나. 가르면 가르중한테 멤버.
So, for example, if we are stricken by a very serious disease, then whatever the doctor says, we listen to him or her carefully, right?
근데 이제 안주 아니 저다 산지 쪽에 잡선 체계를 나줄로 체계를 곰자게 되나야. 배샤노 소만 마신 것도 다 아주 라로 관계 제도요 말았어.
So we, even though we tend to take refuge, right, by reciting refuge formulas, like I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in some Dharma and Sangha, and like that, but we're not able to follow the instructions of the refuge just as it is explained in the texts.
그렇죠. 아니 난도 산지 쪽에 안에 다 잡선된 점으로 채서야 될 간지 또 산지가 강송바디 냠는지야 소소 라는 다 되죠.
So when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, what it means is not just reciting the refuge formula, but following the instructions of the Buddha. So whatever Buddha says, or heeding to Buddha, paying attention to Buddha, to whatever he says, and doing just like he says. So if we do that, then that's the real taking refuge.
그렇죠. 나도 멤버카 녀서가 돼. 멤버라가 녀서가 봐. 강나가 돼. 녀버로.
So whatever, if we listen to whatever the doctor says and take the medicines just like he or she prescribe, then it will be helpful to us, right?
어다 빼도 집아. 다 그러나 다 산지에서 돼. 간지 교육변세 연대 끝났던 배기다 강사식 셈신 다 셈신 말다 강사식 그래서.
So the Buddha, is a being, who is fully enlightened, who has purified all the negative karmas that are to be purified, and has gained all that are to be gained.
근데 이자다 간지 너무 맞춰서 내 차셔도 너무 공정하게 잘라서 진짜 싸우는 명예 빵. 어딘데 강사지 말이에요.
And so someone who doesn't have any obstructions or delusions, like attachment, anger, ignorance, and so forth. So someone like that is called Buddha.
그렇죠? 아니 미시바 하모에 맞도 지요 말 강가시 하고 그래서.
So he's free of all the ignorance, which means there isn't anything that he doesn't know, or no, he doesn't realize, and so forth. So there's everything, he knows everything. He's omniscient.
근데 딱 코랑이 냠냠라 때문에 아니 코랑을 간돌아 맞다 추세대 라자자여서 코랑 잡된 바보 코랑 다 저는 내년에 제거래 생각도 막 라자자여서.
So through his experience, like when he was sentient beings like ourselves, and through his knowledge, and omniscient mind and so forth, he has given us this instruction, to do the practice.
좋아. 근데 다 냠는데 가르쳐서 와이나 세상다 지 명문배 년보 아니 담에도 배셔라 본도 배셔라 또 들에서.
And so the instruction is to generate the realizations of emptiness or selflessness, which are the antidote to the delusions like ignorance and so forth.
좋아. 다 간도 돈이 담에 또 뭐가 되나 다 간도 가리 또 먹여와 좀 먹여와 좀 맞아봐 좀 보면서 좀 어떤 소리라고 그래서
And so we're not even able to realize those selflessnesses and emptinesses. However, we can do a similar practice like abandoning the 10 non-virtuous actions, right?
그봐 간제 간도 내차 샤동 공동 아자 강하지는 게 제가는 간도라야 지우면도 와서 리단 세미나 지우면도 와서 내가 동아서로
So, so whatever delusions arise in our mind, like attachment, anger, pride, jealousy, or ignorance, whenever those delusions arise in our mind, we're not happy, right?
어떻게다 대행한테 좀 맞춰와들라야 다 대가봐 대방와서로
And so when you strive, to control it, not let it arise, that is the practice. And of course, if you apply antidote to abandon this, that's even better practice.
또 근데다 공로 사회기 생각 맞지 바디 공로 맞아바디 다 메어서 마도 신 탐식하게 오마로
And so becoming angry, the only way to not become angry is to control oneself from not becoming angry by being patient and so forth, right?
그러나 칼라서에 칼라마다 저거 또왜 등하다 칼라사에 주보되게 생각하면 신 수직 생각하러
So just like the suffering of hunger can be only overcome by eating food, right? So nothing else will overcome that.
그러나 근데다 직땡 가리 직땡 로당 가리 소소소 님보를 해요 그러더라.
And so for everything, for every problems, there are some antidotes to overcome that.
근데 이제 다 산지 세대 잡된 법 람가 땡애들이 간도 람가 내는 로고다 람가 내 로야 말다 람가 마 땡애들에서
So Buddha is the founder of the refuge, or like a teacher, who shows us what is good, what is bad, how to take refuge, and so forth.
어떻게 다 람가 그랬대나 아니 소수고 셈바 소수고 따고 잡 소수 개개 소수치 아니 소수 셈 뇽무 나와도 만들어왔지 다또 대접이었어.
So what kind of path he should instructions he give is to control our mind, not to follow the delusions, to control our mind and so forth.
근데 다그 산지에서 강송샤와데 땅에 내서 차대요 말이었어.
So whatever Buddha said is true, is the reality.
그리고 가래서나 산지에서 무슨 샘제 짜다 따당 찍바 따기 그랬어.
So that's because Buddha has the same thought towards all beings.
아니까로. 어떤데다 쇼치라 야보 땅에 쇼치라 야보 마땅에 되네 말까. 샘제 짜다나 찍바인 바래 되네다. 임바치 아니 코라야 지반 타달에 뉴모반 타달에 조서인 바래.
So he doesn't have that partial thought, thinking that I should do good to these beings, but not to those beings, and so forth like that. That kind of thoughts. And also he is free of all the fears. He has freed himself from all the fears.
그리고 나도 치나 사등이지 치나야 좁아라 치나라 연로 신이지 마도 좀 신이 나도 잡히고 말아.
For example, when we fall into water, the only person who can protect us or who can save us is someone who knows how to swim, who doesn't know how to swim, right?
근데 내가 가르치나 민냠뇨 얘기지 내가 지나 콜레가 된대요. 냠뇨 명예지 제와는 된다며 같은 거는 이때 중요로 봐.
And so in any kind of activities, whatever you do, if you have experience, if you know about it and you have experience, then it will be more certain, right, to have the job done. If you don't have the experience or knowledge, then it's not very certain.
Right now, also in this country, also they're looking for the people more experience. They say if you have good experience, then they say okay, we hire you. 근데 이번에 아니 산지에서들아 뇽모바다 간지데 메와 체고 요와 뇽모바다 가린내고 요와 저저 뇽모 쳐서 요와 봐야 다 가서 오다 뇽모도 야고 만들다 저런 뇽모보만도 만들어 같이 된다와 있나 저런 동안 저들에 송셔요.
So the Buddha is someone who has the knowledge experience about these delusions and how these delusions are not good, how they can cause harm to you, and how to overcome these, all these informations. And Buddha has that.
좋아. 먼저 미직직 나지. 나사드나 trawa이나. 미들 냠냠 차도라다 미 나사드까지 임바. 간디 나고 요와. 델라 트라이라 내가를 사고 요와. 스스로는 강체고 요와. 차상 걸 냠냠 요와.
So someone who has already been sick and have experienced that disease and have freed himself or herself from that, and has more knowledge and experience about those diseases. So if they tell you, oh, this is the kind of disease and this is the kind of experience you will have, and this is the medicines you should take and to overcome this and so forth. So someone who has gone through that tells us, then that is more certain, right?
다 상지에서야돼 ene koraya tambo ngaraso naji kansa nyumo chidingi yimbachi tene tela nyumbo nyembo ta tene te pa ane pa ne sanje sa chaso yimbareso.
And so Buddha wasn't a Buddha from the beginning. He was ordinary sentient beings like ourselves, who had all these kind of delusions and problems. And then later, seeing, learning about that, and then finding the method or the means, to overcome these delusions and freed himself, from all these sufferings and the cause of sufferings, the delusions.
상제기 코랑이 냠냠 차상 간돌아 말라바치 땅에 냠냠 두스 인다스 and 레드문도 저랑도 다제 제스 말라비오 그랬어.
So this is what Buddha explained through his own. And then still he says, this is what I experienced, and this is what I did, to overcome these problems, and you should do the same. But you can check yourself, whether it's true or not, whether it makes sense or not.
Okay. 그래서 어디지? 근데 다 가마라라 자야지 추세의 가르스나 간지 안쪽이 상초고 샘고바 니제고바 샴바고바 젬베가 샘고바 돈들라다 추제스로.
And so this the instruction that Buddha gave, is called the Dharma. So all the instructions Buddha gave to how to engage in the positive actions, how to generate positive thoughts, which becomes a cause for the happiness and so forth. So that is called the Dharma. So just like a method or means to generate compassion, loving kindness, altruistic attitudes, and so forth.
그래서 나도 니제도 샴바도 샹초좀 대소 제사가 예디 강다들 나서 공로 사가 말에 저도 사가 말에 했으니까 로토도 야포인자 이제 제가나 아닌데 저 공로도 근데 제가 말에 했다 송으로.
And so if we have these thoughts like a loving kindness, compassion, altruistic attitudes, or the understanding of the correct view and so forth, then we will not develop that kind of delusions, the afflictive emotions, like anger and attachment, ignorance and so forth.
Like that? Okay. Then 다 상제세대 잡담바 보시. 아니 추세대 잡는 가서 로빠 친구네 맹원에도 추래서 아니 게데세대 잡도 다도 간제 추대 냠스 렘바고 강사 소소 로빠 친구들 다 게데 이상도 다 랍초그래서.
And so, so the Buddha, is the teacher and the founder of the refuge, and the Dharma is the actual refuge, like the medicine that actually cures the disease. Right? So it's the medicine that actually cures the disease. Just like that, Dharma is the one that overcomes all the delusions, the cause of sufferings, and provide the happiness. And the Sangha, is the helper, like a nurse, who provides assistance, to do your practices.
대세다 나도 네방 두어는 나도 차대서 나도 jelaya 뇽모마 젠데 신도고 내요 그래서.
And so in this case, we are all patients, so we are all sick, we're inflicted by the disease of the delusions, like 84,000 heaps of delusions.
Okay. 다 상제의 멤버인 말이에요.
And the Buddha is a doctor.
그래서 나도 내대 지난도 내래다 뇽모마 젠지도 내래서 나도 내대마 뒤져버려.
And so he explains to us about the disease, those 84,000 heaps of delusions.
아니 그거도 매들다 오단데 매래다 샴바고바 니제고바 먹게져보고 스름고바 더 매래스 나도 매대마 돼서.
Then he prescribes the medicine, so it's like abandoning the 10 virtues action, and generating loving kindness, compassion, and so forth. These are the medicines.
다 나도 견디세대 아니 나서도 지봐. 맨팅이 지로 때 간지 나도 쪽소모토 몸을 루이나 아니 나도 냠내 지알 팽거로 봐서. 다 로바칭도 견디세라 그래서.
And then someone who helps us to take those medicines, and so forth. If we are sick, then we need somebody to help us. Right? So just like the nurse, who will help us. So the sanghas is like the nurse, who will be helping us, to do our practices, through helping us in guiding us, or giving us the answers and answering our questions and so forth. So just like that, who like a group, who provides help, to do the practice.
Okay. 대리자 나도 나다들 저와랑 나도 강사 숨고도 와서 강사 숨을 가지 샤워 숨고도 와서 버칭에 지지 아니 소소고 내가 지어 찍지 아니 즉 나사 등까지 무슨 숨고도 와서 대리자 나도 고에 동안에 저와라야 여러 버칭에 숨이어래서
So when we are severely ill, we need a doctor, we need a medicine, we need a nurse also, because we can't take the medicines by ourselves, and we need to go out and so forth. So for all this, we need a nurse to help us. And so just like that, we are severely ill, with the delusions, and so we need a doctor, to find out, what kind of, like a doctor, we need a Buddha to explain to us what kind of sufferings, we have, and what are the cause of those sufferings, and so forth. And we need this dharma, the instruction, to overcome those sufferings, and we need a sangha, just like the nurse, to help us, do those practices.
대단한 남도 녀모의 영화다 전에 남도 전에 다나발 남도 잔리 님의 지우 좀 말이더라.
So because of being under the control of these delusions, like we are all sentient beings, we are all under the influence of the delusions, and therefore we don't face or we don't experience any happiness or any real peace, even for a moment from the time we were born.
단단 담발린들의 영향이 왕타 첨보이나 내 첨보이나 깨라 첨보이나 내 명예나 또 명예나 간데서도 지바 지장 자리에 지어요 말들어.
And so it's the same with all of us, no matter who we are, and as long as we're sentient beings, no matter who we are, whether we are rich or poor, whether we are powerful or very weak, or successful or not, or learned or not, and so forth. So whatever we are, as long as we're under the control of these delusions, we are never happy, even for a moment.
그러봐. 배나 먹게다 첨보도서 나도 다나 먹게다 첨보도서 지고 요래 삼겨서 나도.
So, for example, we think that if we become rich and famous, then we'll be happy.
Right? Because we are not, I don't know, maybe you guys know. We are not that person that we think, oh, they are very happy. But they think we are more happy. Because whenever they start that, they cannot stop. They are the ego, they cannot come. 수수 가로 맞아티 온다 따티니 마 깨다이나 벤조이나 마찬가지로 쓴다 셈지가 간지 안 근데 당분간들이 많이 간이 지고 예서 간지 안소로 안소 지고 통거죠.
And so because of their ego and pride, they couldn't even let go of their status. And then so sometimes when they're very stressed, with their stress, they wish for a simple life like other ordinary people.
다 당당 안소 내가 얘기 참 마차게 담이데 벤조 침보이나도 강에 주는 요 말이 삼대가 들어.
And then many of us, of course, think that if we are rich, we will not be unhappy. We will have no problems if we are rich.
그렇죠. 근데 단다 세단댕에 근데 세팅인데 배샤고 바 블랭게 좀 근니는 니 좋은 거요. 이나 라시자는 mambo용도.
But it's not the case, right? So all these rich and famous people were not very happy, even though they have a lot of money that they can use the whole money like a quilt to cover their body. But they are not happy, so they many of them they commit suicide.
So
if they don't have problem, they will not commit suicide, right?
다 간제 늦으면 리투도 나도 내가 타마가래다 라시야 들어.
And so this is the last thing, the least thing we'll ever do, right? Is to commit suicide.
근데 얘가 대칭이라 나도식 이제 전보여 담년도 전보여 마치야다 나도식 딱 알아서로 제가 지금 제가 개비도 강간한 두었어.
So someone who commits suicide, is not necessarily poor or unhappy. So can be also somebody who is very rich, famous, and so forth, right?
근데 다 간제 나도 코아당에서 그 동아len지 짜네. 아니 산지 추견주다 잡로 빠체로지 잡사고 그래서.
And so the only way to bring us happiness is by taking refuge in the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha.
근데 대셔와랑 코아당에서 동아다 하고 그러면 코아당에서 동아 먹으면 되나 탄대로 제 말아.
And so when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we're asking them for our protection, right? So to be protected from these sufferings, right? And then in order to ask for that protection, you have to understand the sufferings. So from what kind of sufferings are you asking for protection? And so we're asking for protection from the sufferings of the three lower realms and the cyclic existence in general, right? And then for that, we have to understand what are the sufferings of the three lower realms and what are the sufferings of the cyclic existence in general.
배차샤바나 나도 semje 들어도 세살 치는 대로나 세살 비게 만도 받도 콘도 하고 말하니 콘도 이 노도 진도 잡으러 왔어. 콘도 비게 가와티로 하고 말아.
So just like the animal, who's been led, to the slaughtering room, slaughtering house, will not know anything about, that they're being taken, to be slaughtered.
근데 다 비게 세살은 통해서만 콘도 시나잖아요. 집 배야 자식도 왔던 거는 동요로 와.
And so then when they see the slaughtering room where others being slaughtered, then they get afraid, and then they try to run away.
Right? 대가도 민통도 와. 다 나도 고아당에서 동아 하먹거나 때려 탄대로 제가 말아.
And so just like that, if they don't see that, they will not try to run away. They will just keep on walking towards that, right? Just like that, if we don't see the sufferings of the or understand the sufferings of the cyclic existence, and particularly the sufferings of the three lower realms, we will not think of taking refuge from them.
좋아. 근데 딱 나도 미래에서 나도 로리뚝 제사 사실 두요서 로리뚝.
And so it is said that there are six realms, so six realms are six different kind of beings.
아니 덴로섬당 덴로섬스로 와.
Six different kind of sentient beings, right? I call the three lower realms and three upper realms.
근데 이제 제사 나도 근데 덴로 제가 해라이나 덴로라다 동아요로 와.
And so these are all in cyclic existence, samsara. So right now we are born in upper realm as a human being, but we still have a lot of sufferings and problems.
나도 간지 동안 되어 왔어. 전도 동안 돼.
So we have sufferings, right? Do you have sufferings?
right?
You don't have sufferings.
서핑은 동아도 가래. 소소 강 먼저 왔더라 동아세. 되라 그랬어.
So what is suffering? It is something that you don't wish for, right? Anything that you don't wish for is suffering.
그래다 소소 먼저가 망보면서 걔네 닫아봐. 가데는 소소 먼저가 짱짱 제 먼저가 진 소소 돌아 파병도 와. 되려 동아세라고 그랬어.
So from the time we were born until now, we have so many things that we don't wish for, right? So all those things are suffering.
배차시는 몸보이 가서 배나 남중 가서 동안 것을 말라. 먼저 나 동무다 나용도 와.
Like for example, we don't wish to be sick, but we become sick.
그리고 먼저 개 동무다 나도 개용도 와.
We don't wish to age, but we age.
그리고 먼저 소소 개도 돈은 먼저 소소 세메티오 매용도 와.
So when we see ourselves aging, then we don't feel happy, right?
right? 그래서나 나도 룸바디나라야. 미기 로카셈발 파티 라가 로섬도 와서 가르치나 다 소소소소 로셀티미다 가로 다 겐고도 돼 임바드 미 파주면 하고니 도게 말때 하고는 소소 가고 말아왔어.
So like in this country, people don't want to tell their age, because they don't want people to know how old they are, right?
chen 뭐 진짜 걔네 뭐다 뭐 섬을 야고다네 그다 고로 막고로 거 로카리베티 그 차로 람나 말하는 거다 다른 어디로 와.
So, but in reality, it doesn't matter, right? Even if they don't know how old you are that old. You know? So by their not knowing, by their not knowing, if you can become younger, then that's good. And then don't tell them, you know. But even if you don't tell them, even if you tell them or don't tell them, you're still that old.
근데 간제 남도 수도 세만 간제 게라 가오요 말에 때 maybe 따야 된 mom도 생각도 하고 와.
So anyway, we don't want to get old, right? We don't want to age. And so there are many things that makes us not want that.
나도 히로마다 히로도 와.
We don't want to die, but we die, right?
그래서 다 시간 난치기 동안 아니 something 다 감소 샘시 쉬고 도모 와서 와.
And actually, this the suffering, me, so this is the sufferings of the human beings in general, right? So the sufferings of birth, suffering of aging, suffering of sickness, and suffering of death.
그래서 다는 대만 그 통로만 길 소소소라다 소소 통로만 다 동안 뭐지 다 강화되어서 나들.
So these are the four main sufferings of the human beings, but there are also many other individual sufferings, different kind of sufferings we have.
Right? 오, 들리다 대랑 좀 거의 동하더라 그래. 미는 거의 동하.
So these are also sufferings of the cyclic existence.
나도 제사가 산에들랑 코아서라 그랬어. 와가 산에서 가지. 대빌리산들랑 코엔. 내가 되게 동하는 거의 동하.
So this the body that we are born into, is called samsara. And the samsara, any things we experience in this body in this life, is any suffering that we experience in this body in this life, is samsaric suffering.
개운 거지. 다 빼셔야 다 동안 가서 미 동안 가서 냠녀 소소소 같이 강이 담을 오자냐 너 찍지 야보는 양 뒤서도 지용 지양 뒤서도 지용도 강이 지 파사는 양 지래 용도 담을 용도 왔어.
So we have many different kinds of problems we overcome. We face this problem, we overcome that, and then there's another problem. And then there's another problem, another problem. So there are a lot of problems, one after another.
뭐 대라 내가 또 미동하지. 답변은 돈으로 올라가이나 돈으로 알레시 뜸을 미동하든 거라 그래서.
And so the animals also have similar kind of sufferings, right? But especially they have the sufferings of ignorance, sufferings of being foolish and ignorance.
시천에야 내서 가실랑 간도 미다 천이잖아. 배는 돈이나 배는 돈으로 다 나를 써야 돼 이거서 봐.
So that's in general. But in particular, there are of course some animals who are very smart, very intelligent, and knows a lot of things more than human beings.
그래. 나도 미하 먹어 뭐 티하고 너 티.
So many things that the dogs are more capable of doing than human beings.
그래. 다들이지. 답변은 간도 줄로라. 자치고 semjet으로 간종 간도 냐 라루 바주 또 가지고 간도 미기지 배제다야로 간지 코들랑 간도 미일 나지기 다 소화 대도 또 녀요 그래서.
And so there's other animals, like the sheep, goats, and so forth. So they have all the sufferings of the aging, sickness, death, and so forth, just like human beings.
이나 딱 이제 semjet도 간지 다 미가리 제제라고 그래 마도 간지 나도 미 다우 나도 미가지 제로 왔어.
And then particularly they have other sufferings, like the sufferings of not knowing what is right, what is wrong, and so forth. And those who are owned by human beings, they have the sufferings of being exploited by human beings. And so it's up to human beings, to do whatever they want with those animals, right?
그래서 저는 참좀 따다 세세해서 근데 휴체종 덮치거나 안에 단다 랑치도 만도 콘소 양자 동지 휴체다. 나도 미 답이지는 고도강가 꼭동도 와.
So in terms of the strength, these animals like elephant, lions and tigers, and they are maybe 100 times more stronger than human beings. But through the means of human beings, they have controlled these animals, right?
tenri bat pena. 당가서 어디 샘치네 동아 요리 tenro도 니지야 삼나. 나도 하셔 고마르스 pena. 소선라고 지 니 실로라 대dengi 그라인도 제와이나 간데서래 소소 대지 삼부당 거래서. 대나 동아네 와고 그러was.
So seeing this, of course, you can understand some sufferings of the animals, but you will not understand, from depth how they are experiencing these sufferings. So when you think about the sufferings, when you contemplate on the sufferings of the animals, you have to, imagine, or you have to think, yourself in their place, and then imagine, how will it be if you're going through that, so apply that onto yourself.
또 삼로 마다나 아니 가서 누가 신 말았어. 어떤 요사를 해서면 시찬을 룸반디는 거 저도 심어서 밑에서 다뭐 빼 무슨 밀리아 같은 자오장도 와서 이나 원차자도 미 가르치러 와서
to put yourself in it and then imagine how you feel if you were to go through those kind of sufferings. In this country, people care a lot about animals, and especially the dogs and cats, like the pets. But they don't have the freedom, right? The human beings, they control them.
Right? Usually it's very good, very correct. But we check in second way, and it goes that
So on one hand, they're being treated very well, right? Given the food, the medications and all these things, comfort, of living in the house and so forth. But on the other hand, they're like a prisoners, right?
대단히 저도 저도 심해서야 노래를 하고 말다. 다 뛰셨던 노단들이 들어와서 노단으로.
And I'm not saying it is wrong, to keep the dogs and cats, but that's how it is, right? In general.
그 등록해야 돼 그런 거 리테 레와인자 다 그런 게 레라 때문에 싸요 말대. 너도 지혜다. 로스로 자대로 와서.
So the fact being born as an animal, and because of their karma, that's how they go through their life or their the experiences. There's nothing we can do about it.
Okay. 다 내가 나도 다 가지 고아지. 아 내가 제 마음으로 통과만 가지 다 등록하고 지나 가지. 다 스케치. 근데 지우면 돼 왔어. 근데 고아당 연수가 등가는 지식 짜. 다 소소 될래야 단독으로 제거 그래서 봐.
And so then these animals are the one that we can see, not all of them, but some of the animals that we can see, so we can understand, right? And then there are other lower realms like hungry ghosts and the hells and so forth, which we don't see, but there are there, like it's explained in the scriptures. But anyway, in general, when we think about taking refuge, we have to understand that we take refuge because we don't want to go through those sufferings of these, especially of and then the sufferings of the cycle extent in general. And because of that, then we take refuge in the three jewels.
Okay. 근데 단연 고아당연 소도 진지 짜네. 다 대래 주빈 네바 군주도에 비치. 대가 이제 되니기만 점도 야고 제고 말했어.
And so you have to have that fear, kind of fear or not liking, to go through those sufferings, especially of the lower realms and cyclists in general, and because you don't want to go through those experiences, and therefore you're afraid of going through them, and so therefore you take refuge in the jewels. So that's one cause for taking refuge. The another cause for taking refuge is that then you take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, but then in order to take refuge in them, you have to trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, right? You have to believe in them, that they have the power to protect you. So you need these two: the fear towards the sufferings of the cyclists and the lower realms, and a trust or belief in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha that they have the power to protect you. So if you have these two, and then you will take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
대저하다 산지 죽여서 얘한테도 콜리도 하고 그걸 맞아. 콜리 아무거나 가서 이 책 말아.
And in order to believe that Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha has the power to protect you from these sufferings, you have to understand their qualities, right? Their excellent qualities. Without their good qualities, without understanding that their good qualities, you will not believe in them, that they have the power to protect you.
배차샤와이나 안주 주소를 내가 제니 다 지금 노네. 근데 처음에 특성화이나 당아주 춤기 강에서 가는 동아서 가는 대가도 신기 어려워. 대타야게 체다 아니 나도 로열 생긴도 아주 아니 텔리가 강에들 지시 짜네 텔레 쪽이 바 로열들 열에서 내 로열라 따로 고쳐세 암도고 어려워.
So just like if we have fallen into the problem, a legal problem, then we seek help from the lawyers who knows about the laws, right? Because we believe in them. We don't want to go through this issue or problem, and we believe in the lawyer, who has the knowledge, to protect us from those problems.
그래서 다 직발로 돼. 된다고도 직등도 직발에도 왔어.
So because of that, then we kind of we seek help, in the lawyers, or we take refuge. In other words, we take refuge in the lawyers. Right? So it's similar to that.
나도 들어가가지 나도 로열 잡줘야 돼. 로열 나도 잡쳐야 돼. 잡줘야 돼.
So we are taking in refuge in the lawyer, right? When we do that.
We don't call that refuge, but it is a refuge for our this case. 오다 텐리마다 다 텐리기 간제 수수 면도하게 동아대 대라 존대 로제 대라 조여 로바 쟁에서나 다 산지 주게 저게 조세 어디 대라 로바 제로 지상선 맘다가 요들와.
So we should understand the suffering that we don't want to go through. We have to understand, and then we develop, the wish, not wanting to go through that. And then with those two, then you take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
What is Tenley? Tenley 맞아. Tenley지 가서노. Tenley 수수고 셈에 점도 전이고 삼거는 잡도 채워야나. 다 빼면서 점도에 편지 못이라요. 그래서 다 달라다는 소소 켜서 뭐다요. 그래서.
And so if you take refuge, with these thoughts, with these two causes of refuge, the fear towards the sufferings of the cyclic existence, and particularly the sufferings of the three lower realms, and with the belief in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha that they have the power to protect you. So with that thought, when you take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, then there are these benefits that's explained here.
Okay, 대하듯이 근데 다들은 안에 제주 니반으로 가르가려서나 대라 penje.
So here it explains about the 8 benefits of taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
Okay, 다 안에 담보되는 전하게 되네 가로 다 잡초와이나 아니 전하 대마상지와 자수 말해서 그러와.
So the first benefit is that you become a Buddhist from the time you take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha.
아니 전 남바 전에 정해지나 강가 인지비 키고라 오사라마 전하 아니 런데가 레와이나 아니 전하게 아니 산지 주견적에도 잡수까지 선바이나 아니 전하 남바상지와 자수 말해서.
So it's not necessary to become a Buddhist in order to do these practices, but if you want to become Buddhist, then you have to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So from the time you take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, then you become a Buddhist.
And number yes, and the Jamru Genuine Jamru Jelamevana, and Metequanga number is Jamru Namanguni Chayo.
So if you don't have these two causes, the fear towards the sufferings of the lower realms, especially, and trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha that they have the power to protect you from these sufferings. So if you don't have these two, then even if you recite, even if you claim yourself as a Buddhist, the whole life, you are not really Buddhist.
And the time Nandu number check the Jamru Dumba Shikisa, Nandu Jamru Dumba Tregazo. I think Nandu touch on the number in Becca. And Ngaran it to
So when we take refuge vow, again same thing, so you're not really sort of, so we sort of become claim ourselves as a Buddhist, but we're not really Buddhist if we don't have those the two causes of taking refuge.
In a tanganzo tending some to shoot chimney, tanganzo get the hako, hako the
So even though we don't have that strong feeling, of the fear towards the sufferings of the cyclist and lower realm, and the trust in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha that they have the power to protect you from these sufferings, but we, sort of try to follow other instructions, and with that, we, sort of, try to maintain ourselves as being a Buddhist.
Watch this. Number 30 was a badge. That Bombaji Tesha.
And then, so that's how you become a Buddhist, right? So that's one of the benefit of taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. The other benefit is that you become a candidate for all the vows.
남의 줄로 좀 제발라.
So in order to take, in order to practice Dharma or Buddhism, you don't have to become a Buddhist, right? You don't have to take refuge.
그리고 간제 간도 단장으로 송원도 봤어. 만도 줄로 찾아라야 계속 그래서 되는 거 전부래서 줄로 가르치면 소소라고 말해서 송원도 봤어.
So like His Holiness says, you have to have respect towards all the religions, and it's up to oneself to accept which religion for oneself.
근데 시원한 건데 줄로 찾아서 로종 제거 살아서.
So if possible, we should study all the religions.
교도도 빠지 망치 행원에 줄로 남은 나서 몸발로 좀 제어로. 독서 만소래.
So many of you maybe have already studied many kind of religions. We're the worst ones.
We just only study Buddhism. Then we like that. 근데 인바에서 간제 줄로 찾아라 기집 제거해서 가르치는 데서나 줄로 가르치 인바이나 간제 밀에 펜토야 샘절에 펜토야 제때 또 숑 잡아지 마좀 잡아지 바다 송거로.
So we should respect all the religions because whatever kind of religions there are, they are all taught to benefit human beings.
나도 남바야지 좀 담아라가 시 소소 걔는 라고 말했어.
So there might be different views in these different religions, but they're all taught to benefit other sentient beings. Like in Buddhism, we have 4 different schools of thoughts or tenets, and so in terms of the view, we don't even get along even among the Buddhists.
근데 이마다 지금 삼수 가가다 지금 걔네제다 가가이마다 야구 말도나 가도 내 노노를 와.
So because of the different view, if we say it's wrong, then it's wrong. It's wrong to say it's wrong, right?
배차에는 나가 mam보식이 맨날 이신도이나 바지 될 chen 가면 말라근도 어떤 남배 먹이와 제대로 노동 직반으로 해야지.
So, for example, like in Christianity, they teach about the 10 Commandments, right? It's very similar, to what we learn in Buddhism about the 10 non-virtuous actions.
Right? 근데 더 간가 저랑 되네 맞아. 야마나 소소로 내거든. 야마나 미 샘제 샘발 내거든. 맞아서 까자와지는 마다 지금 따뜻해 와서.
And so those are all things that are prohibited for us to do because of causing harm to sentient beings, right? So it says, don't do this will cause harm to others, and don't do this will cause harm to other sentient beings.
얘가 들리는 원하던 그 나도 출근가 집어라든 대 집어 말이야. 줄로 소소소 제발라 소소고 있다. 걔네서가 나면도 소소를 딱 가로 틈을 했다. 다 틈크고 틈대 걔네들라. 근데 줄로 가리나 대 틈그가라 가 줄로 되게
And so this we might call, we can call this all are same, but they're not all same. They are different, because of different teachers who taught and the different instruction, different ways. And so because of that, each religion, is known by its own characteristics like that.
좋아. 배서 남아로나 아니 산지 주게 조건들다 로까지 자 잡등이 이제 제등이들다 남바세.
So, as a Buddhist, in terms of the teachers, like the Buddha Shakyamuni, who taught the Dharma, right? And so, and that's like, one particular reason. One particular purpose for taking refuge or for being a Buddhist is, following the instructions of the Buddha Shakyamuni and taking refuge in the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So that's the characteristics of being a Buddhist.
아니 이시라고는 다 이시 고랑기 조금 가릅증에들라야 다 이시세로 라고 와서 인지로 와서 이시도 담는 뭐예요.
So in terms of the Christianity, maybe there are also different kinds, right? But those who follow the Jesus, like for example, it's like the following the teachers, like the Jesus, it's called Christianity. So that's one of the characteristics.
근데 이마다 어디다 다 남바 이는마다 간지 남바 이미게 아니 데미도 빠트번도 아니 잠도 들으세요.
So anyway, talking about the Buddhism here, the identification card of being a Buddhist, is taking refuge in the 3 jewels.
되게 passport 캐요는 넘버 되게 passport 맨은 넘버 말해서.
So if you have that ID card, then you're Buddhist. If you're not, then you're not Buddhist.
네, 다 조지 그거 까데메 교신도 별별 거라야. 아니 배배나네. 다 라마에서 카말로 되는라야. 넘버만이 마음도 소말해서.
So because of that, because of not having those qualities, of being a Buddhist, And then the Lama Desha said there are many lamas or abbots, who are facing down to the crowd and teaching about Buddhism, yet they themselves are not Buddhist. Because they don't have that passport.
Okay. 아니 들리기 점도 요하나 단 돈바탐지 떼시거든. 돈바 가리지 쇼거는 점도 매네 준 시험에 버리더라고.
And so, you'll become a candidate for all the vows. It means like it will become a basis for taking all the vows. That you don't have the basis to take the vows.
그러와. 아니 돈바탐지 떼셔 봐서 아니 난도 다 점도 돈바. 아니 다 정말로나 개념 돈바셔거든. 개념 돈바시나.
And so, for any kind of vows, you have to take refuge. So, in terms of the lay vows, you have to also take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So it's like the basis or the foundation. Like if there's no foundation of the house, there's no way you can build all the walls and the walls and beams on that, right? So even if it's a 5-story building, the 5th story also depends on the foundation, right? Does it or not?
What do you say? Without the foundation, they cannot go up there. Jump to Domba Meva any Genya Domba, Gesu Domba, Gelong Domba, and Shanchu Sempe Domba, Sanga Domba, Sadomanga Tuino, Karishuana, Chuyo Martha. Tell me what.
So refuge is like the foundation on which you can take the refuge. You can take the vows, of the lay vows, the lay vows, the bodhisattva vows, the tantric vows, the other pratimoksha vows, and so forth. So just like without the ground, nothing can grow. Like the trees, the plants, the flowers, the vegetables, and so forth. None of those will be able to grow, right? If there's no ground.
What in the Ibada, Domba said, any Kaza into Yende Chazan, that danger.
And so, therefore, taking refuge, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha is like the foundation or the ground on which you can grow all the flowers or the sprouts of knowledges and realizations.
What is that? Somebody nears a village to what just said over it. That devotional town over it.
And then you will also use up all the obscurations and negativities occurred in the previous times.
Country towers and Jambu Dumbayona, Jambu Labja the Negro was Labja Karese and Sonum got so Kanji Shamba, Niji, and Shanju some gums. They go on with the Sonum Chamber Child, with the Sonum Chamber, the Patek Sonoko Kale Kalima. Nimatawajana Kanshin or the Zushan over.
And so, how you purify those negativities and obscurations that were created in the past is that, like I said, when you take refuge, it's not just reciting the refuge formula, but it is carrying on the instructions of the Buddha, or in other words, practicing Dharma, right? So that's what you do. So when you do that, when you carry the instructions, where Buddha says, accumulate virtuous actions and don't create any non-virtuous actions, that when you create a virtuous action. And then you are through taking refuge. When you create the virtuous actions, you are creating merit. So with that merit, you will purify all those negative karmas created in the past. So just like a hot sun will melt the snow away, just like that, all this merit that you have created by taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha will purify all those negative karmas created in the past.
Dupa yosa dunga yosa dunga the depend dunga no yoro was tata dupa yosa res legit yosa and kachare to topa yoro was to topa saso
This
jamdu topa the shoes was and tanda nandula kaji dunga legit moment was.
So the real taking refuge is when you follow the instructions of the Buddha, right? practicing Dharma. So that's the real taking refuge. So just receiving vow, receiving the refuge vow is not, taking refuge. So some people might think that, I have the refuge vow, yet, and I'm not free from all these negative karmas. Why is that?
You think that? I think so, yeah. Take a Jamdu loves did the Yabu Sanga may be touch. Jamdu loves the Yabu Songa may be ta. I mean, that's the order.
And so that is because we're not, following of the refuge, and maybe we don't even have, the causes, the two causes for taking refuge.
Okay. Tenley Bazang and Cadena
So that is why we're not, we're facing all these problems and not free from all the negative karmas and obscurations. It's not because the refuge don't have the power. So just like, a doctor has prescribed medicine and you have brought the medicine, but if you left it on the table and didn't eat it, then you will not receive any benefits of the medicine, right?
Okay? Like that, I think that's
Yeah, so we'll stop here then.
I think we'll stop here today then. Don't think, he gave for the rich 2-3 pages, he didn't go all through. But this kind we need to a little bit also study. More important, more thinking. Also, don't think the Buddha side is very special. It's true or not. Okay? Kanji, and
So Buddha said that I have shown you the path to liberation, but you have to understand that liberation depends on you. And also Buddha said, just like you check the gold by cutting, rubbing, and burning, and you should check my teachings. And also he said that the Buddhas will not be able to wash away the negative karmas of the sentient beings, and will not be able to take away the sufferings of the sentient beings. So Buddha said he cannot purify sentient beings' negative karmas. He cannot take away the sufferings of sentient beings, just like you take a thorn from your hand. He said he cannot transfer his realizations and knowledge to the sentient beings. The only way he can help sentient beings is by showing them the path, the truth. So by showing the path is to abandon the 10 non-virtuous actions, to generate the loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, and the realizations of emptiness and so forth.
Okay? Therefore we say study is very important. If we force you to study, then you can practice. If you don't study, just you say, Buddhism is very special, I'm going to meditation. It's not working. You need to understand how you practice. How the negative thoughts fall, how they destroy our happiness. Therefore, if you really know that they cause you, be easy to stop. It's not easy, we try to stop, right? Example, we say, because we don't want to anger, right? Are you guys?
Intentionally.
Intentionally, we don't need to anger it. But
we become angry without any control, right?
Right.
So that shows that we are under the control of the delusions.
Okay? Therefore, three delusions are so mishiba, mumba, maribat.
So the delusion is the real delusion, the root of the delusion, is the ignorance, not knowing.
근데 이다 로로체 개체 버리스 말이 뱀만바디 샤랍가 사기 원자 다대하고 로로체가 오래서.
And so therefore it is very important to study. So through study then we will know. So when we know, then we overcome not knowing, right? So only way to overcome the ignorance is by developing the lamp or the light of wisdom.
아니 난주지 강바만 아까지로 잘하니는 로지데 딱고 비게 사이트 여러분 대나지 혈압이었나 강가 시기 여러분.
So just like if we are walking in the dark room, if we anything, but if we have a flashlight in our hand, with that we can see whatever we want to see, right? So just like that, we need to wisdom, which is like the light or the flashlight, through which we can see the things. So for all this we have to study. There isn't anything that we cannot understand through study, right?
technology
all these technologies that we are so amazed of is created by human beings, right? It didn't just come by itself, it was created by human beings. So they invented these things through study, right? If they haven't studied, they would not be able to invent it, right?
For example, maybe you guys also very surprised iWatch. Do you guys heard iWatch? Not yet? You didn't heard? The news, all the news say iWatch. I think everybody was surprised. They give the lot of information. But it is human beings put that, right? Happen like that. If you say people going to the smart karo, karma karo.
Dawa. So like traveling to other planets like Moon. What was the other one, the recent one that they went to?
Mars. Right? India went to Mars, right? Yeah. It's first country? First Asian country. Therefore, we everybody inspired, wow, Mars. People put all the how many days they years? They go to years. People put that in a car.
So they put together all the information and all the tools or gadgets together to be able to get there, right? So it's just that we are not taught, but if human beings were taught, there isn't anything they will not be able to learn. So just like that, all this information about the Dharma, about gaining the realization, the liberation and enlightenment and so forth, all this information, it's just that we didn't study and practice, otherwise we can gain that also.
Okay, then any questions?
I have a question, that may seem strange. You say that the Buddha can't, because you have to help yourself, which I understand completely. But then you also pray to the deities, like Tara, to guide you and help you. So sometimes I have a bit of a problem in life, just because the two things don't quite match.
아니, 단지 달아서 가서 소화답 되는 시간나 소주고 손음 saksa 그러고 소주고 손음 saksa면 소주를 팽이 그래서 아니 아직 소주 손음 사나 소주 발치도 싫어 그래서 개와도 말. 되는 두지 팽 그래서.
So when you pray, to the deities like Tara, you don't just, say, help me, so you do something like you develop a kind of respect, devotion towards her, right? And just that respect, devotion itself, is a positive thing to do. By doing that, you're creating a merit. And of course, then by making offerings, by making prostrations, by circumambulation and so forth, and by reciting those praises and so forth, you're creating merit. Through that merit, then you receive the benefit.
Okay. 마야 드럼이 가서 소와다 마야 드럼이 직실로 나와 되게 참 말이지.
So it's not like, without you doing anything, Tara will just grant you like that. It's not like that, So you have to do something. You're doing something from your side, and because of that, you're getting the benefits.
그래서 나 대백이 대바 야보 꺼내라니 아니 된리가 다시 저거 배가 되는 소가 따와 있나? 수수 밑 제가 그런 거 손은 거 주고 사는 거. 손은 거 주고 사나? 아니 밑에 뒤지지. 담게 와서 갈래갈래 마시는 거. 마치도 좀 열잖아. 그러고서
And of course, Tara always have compassion towards all. There's no question about that. But then when we, seek help, from our side, and then she will be able to help. So, of course, we have to have a faith and devotion and so forth, all that, And when we have that, then we create the merit, and then with the merit, then we can overcome all the problems.
그러고 그냥 감소생도 세분화야 가서 바르면서 때 야보이나 나다도 라슈고 맞춘다 봐. 야 라마도 뱀생도 와서 대체 말 무슨 손님 첨보이나 아니 몇개 와서 맞춘 줄 알아. 몇개 와서 내 맞아 뱀이어.
So it's just like the good germs and bad germs in our body. So when we have merit, then the bad things will come down. When we don't have enough merit, then the bad things will increase. That happen to us will increase. And so just like if you have the bad germs, then that will kill the good germs more, and then you will have less good germs to protect your body. It's similar to that. So creating merit is the main thing. So that will help you to overcome the problems.
근데 산지 좀더 살아. 손음 남 가로. 손음 남 대두도 못함전. 손음 때문에 미선은 그러. 지워서 가지 손음 첨보이나 아니 너무 도와도 마시는 거래서 너무 도와도 마시나 아니 미디가 강도도 그래서
So it's the merit that helps us. So it says that if we have a merit, then whatever we wish will come true. If we don't have the merit, then it will not come true.
Okay. 그래서 로마 모나기 지금 나도 지체요 와이나 아니 로마는 이제 저번에 이름이 뭔가 나도 그만으로 같이 해서 봤어. 너무 모나기 가서 키노요 말했어. 동아서 바키노에 말했어. 그래서 로로 잘맞다.
So like I said, Tara has a compassion, equal compassion towards all sentient beings without any partiality, right? So when we make prayers like that, then she will help us, and definitely help us, because she has compassion, towards us all the time. But we have to, create the merit, to receive that.
Okay. Yes.
I don't know if this may be a little bit astray, but when we watch the news or read the newspapers, how are you thinking? Because I'm talking particularly about the Mideast, because it appears that there are people there that make the communist Chinese look like bodhisattvas. And it appears that they're doing non-virtuous things, but the response may be equally non-virtuous. And how do we think when we watch the news? Because I'm sort of getting to a point where I just don't watch the news anymore, which is not particularly bright.
산주 따돈 가라 섬땅 거라서 그러다. 그래서 내가 산주 때도 시도는 되는데 가서 자나게 돼서 제가 돼서 스페 전주 선배기 자원을 쓰기도 손줘. 안 되는 라이도 있었는데 내가 가서 가는 섬땅 거라서 다 상으로 누가 땅 거래 야가 땅 거래 그냥 짠에 그럼 산주 마다나 야가랬어. 산주 마다나 디마라스.
다 간지 대르던데 산탄 레그 간지 대르던데 소수질라 콩으로 사야 나더니 막 제가 걸도 가르라나라로 와. 간지 소수 거는 게는 되면 맞지 않아도 산지 주고 가서 갔다 맞아 채고라서. 자나게 제 가지가지 야보를 가지가지 두자래서 제가 강가 두자게 말았어.
So just like they say, no news is good news, right? So if you don't watch the news, you don't get on any of those. So no, that's one way. But if you're watching it, then of course you have to think. You have to use your own logic mind, to see what is good and what is bad. You shouldn't be thinking that just because it's a communist Chinese, they are bad. That's not a good reason to think they are bad just because they are communist Chinese. I mean, the communist Chinese also do a lot of good things. And then there are many good things that they do also. And of course, they do many bad things, and they also have a lot of good things. So thinking like that, you can think of good things about like that, and then don't try to think about the bad things. So you have to control your own mind when you're watching, and anyway, in general, not try not to fall into the delusions, not to get afflictive emotions rise in your mind. Don't be so angry or don't be so attached like that.
I also watch a lot of this. Okay? Yes? Yes?
Caring for somebody who appears to be in need a form of attachment.
밀어 로봇 쳐봐라. 미친다라다 야 쳐봐줘라. 단 그대로 공해지라 그 로봇 공해지라 야 쳐봐이나 대 쳐봐라 그래서.
다들 처방 종이 뭐라고 못 버렸어 봐. 근데 소주 로봇 쳐다대 지 예리 매배 술 거는 지나는 거 잡아놓고 말했어. 근데 소주 가다들 소주 막아들 맞으나 잡아버렸어.
So it depends, if you care anybody who is in need, then that's very good, right? So you're anybody, so that's not attachment. But if you're caring for somebody who you like love, who you feel close with only, then that's attachment. That can be attachment.
Sure. Okay. Okay, Ed, we can watch together the news, okay? There. All the time back is there about the movies. It's okay, I also watch a lot of this.
That's why I asked.
I just watch. When I watch, I just watch. I don't say, oh, this is good, he's good, bad. We don't do judgment. Now, usually His Holiness he never watch TV right now. Even news, he just listen. He made also a lot of develop. Also, I watch a lot of sometimes the movies. Very special movies. Not everyone. But I don't do very attachment and I get it developed. Just watch to fun or something. Anyway, the main thing is especially when we watch the news, they criticize someone, then we don't want to also do together to criticize. It's a criticize that. We just watch. Just time to go. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Then we stop. To study a little more. And
Analyze.
Analyze meditation. Okay. Analyze meditation. Okay?
Analytical meditation.
Analytical meditation. Analytical meditation, okay? Okay, thank you. It's really hard. Analytical meditation. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
39 for Thanksgiving model offering. Saji perki jupsing me tok tram ri rab ling jini de gien pa di sangye jing du mig te uwag yi dro kun nam dak jing la chur pa sho jade sun lame kutse rab ten ching nam katrin le chok chur gi pa dan lo sang ten pe dren me sa sung gi dro we mun sel tak tu neg yu chi Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niriyami. Tsongkhapa's final lam-rim prayer. From my two collections, vast as space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds' wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, may I be held in your loving compassion for all my lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete graded paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by practicing. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness from the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I have discerned them. May I uphold the Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going out with great compassion in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread and declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds a long time. By even this graded course to enlightenment completed due to the wondrous, virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their children. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity, make things conducive for practicing the excellent paths, never be parted in any of their lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes an effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may they always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere. The short and long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefit and joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chen Rezig remain in life till samsara's end. The prayer that spontaneously fulfills all wishes. Tong Yi Ning Je Zung Du Ju Pe Lam Che Sel Ze Gong Chen Ten Dragon Chagna Pe Mo Tenzin Gyatso La So Wadeb So Je Dun Lun Dru Shu. Page 49, the short for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Tub So Chang Jing Jam Gern Yel Wei Tenzin Kyong Pel Wei Kun Zo Do Por Ze Chok Sum Kor Wei Leg Man Tu Dru Pa Dak Som Du Je Gun Du Jab Ten Shog. And dedication or prayer to meet with perfect teachers. Hello. Your form embodies all Buddhas. Your that of Vajradhara, you are the root of the three jewels. Homage to you, O Gurus. In short, I seek your blessings, O Protector, to be cared for by you from birth unremittingly throughout all my lives, and thus to become your chief disciple, holding every secret of your body, speech, and mind. O Protector, please grant that all be auspicious for me to be foremost among your very first circle of disciples wherever you manifest Buddhahood, so that all my temporal and ultimate wishes without exception may be effortlessly and spontaneously fulfilled. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma. By completing the qualities of the stages and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Furthermore, in life after life, may I, pleasing him in return, be forever fostered by an accomplished Mahayana spiritual master, the source of every virtue of this world and beyond. In his care, may I acquire in him a firm, unshakable faith, pleasing him by every means possible, doing nothing even for an instant to disappoint. May my spiritual master impart to me every instruction and every teaching in its entirety. Having understood them faultlessly, may I practice them and be able to bring them to perfection. May I never, even for a moment, the sway of malevolent teachers and misleading friends. Having developed life, belief in cause and effect, renunciation, the Bodhi mind, and the pure mu, may I embark upon them continually with effortless experience. In every life, may every virtuous act gathered by way of body, speech, and mind be causes solely there of others, and for the purest and highest enlightenment. Dedication, page 57. Through this virtue may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha's state, place each and every sentient being without exception precious Bodhi mind, may it where unborn arise, and where born never decline, but increase forevermore. Page 75, Migsema. Mig say wei ter chen chen resig make yen pei wang po jam pel yang gang chen ke pei tsu yen Tsongkhapa lo sang drag pei jab la so wan ye. Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you very much, Geshe. There's a few announcements today. We have Tara Puja coming up, Tara Puja and medicine, Tara Puja and Guru Puja coming up this Thursday and Friday. So please come join us. And also we will start sending out information, yard cleanup. We'll have cleanup days so that we can, the leaves are starting to fall, so we want to keep ahead of the game. And the last thing, we are doing the, requested that we do the 21 Tara recitations. It's for the long life of His Eminence Choden Rinpoche. And and so we have until October 10th, and then we submit it to a center, which names I can't remember, but it was in the newsletter, or just email me with your number of recitations. And yep, that's it. And maybe I have a small request. If there are any of you who want to sit and meet here like 15 minutes in 10 minutes time, we can do a couple of taras, and the more the merrier, which is great. Thank you, everyone.